Fuck yes, welcome to After the Hype with me, host as always, Brian Dressel. With me as always is Jonathan Hardesty.
We did it.
Joey Darsa.
Hi.
Standing in for Emily Blake, we have Elliot Campos.
Yo.
Did you know that you're sitting in for Emily Blake today?
I'm wearing her headphones, so,
so-
I'm cosplaying a little bit.
I think Emily would approve of that.
You didn't laugh though in the beginning at me.
Sorry. You need to tell me when I'm supposed to laugh at you, because otherwise it will never happen.
It just at the
Just get those cue
it's
cards.
at the very beginning, yeah.
Laugh at John.
I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment.
To John or Emily?
To John, because I don't know if that means that John's just not funny.
Remember what we talked about with explaining jokes earlier?
Well, I'm
It's
trying
okay.
to add on to your
It's
joke.
okay, I'm used to it.
Special guest today. We have Joey Schow. Hi, Joey.
Hello.
Joey, you used to work on At Midnight?
Yes.
That's right?
Yeah, that's
Oh.
correct.
Cool. Along with a former friend of the show. Not former friend. Former guest. That sounds really bad. But
Former friend of the show. I was like, what do you guys do? Execute us all when we leave? And thank you for playing.
yeah.
You're not good enough.
yeah,
Goodbye.
he just hasn't been on in a very long time. But Cody Camp used to also work at that show.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, he was one of my PAs.
Yeah, he used to be on like every other episode way back in the day when we used to live together. Because like, oh shit, we need a guest. Cody, what are you doing?
Cody!
And then Cody would wander into the room like, all right, what are we talking about? And since he's seen fucking every movie, he'd watch them.
Yeah.
It worked out well.
He just got engaged.
Did he?
Yeah.
I did not
did.
know that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw that on
Yeah.
on the Instagrams.
Yeah,
Oh.
to Becky, who also worked on At Midnight.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, there you
Good
go.
for all of them.
Oh, well, just a little trivia for no one who cares. But congratulations to those two if they listen.
Yeah, if they listen. I'm not sure if they do anymore.
We care. We care.
We do. Oh, no, I
care.
care. But, you know, I don't know who this goes to.
All right, we'll do a quick where have you been doing? Since technically this episode will come out later, I'll save my first one for next week / an hour from now. That's really confusing time travel. I'll say that I've been watching Veep because I'd never watched it before, and apparently it's like really, really good, and I had no idea.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, like it's
Veep is amazing.
I for some reason I just always kind of went, I don't really like political comedies. Like I like politics, I like comedies, but they just don't really do it for me.
Oh, God.
Except for In the Loop, and I didn't know the guy from In the Loop had such a huge hand in Veep.
Yeah.
And had I known that, I would have watched it a long time ago.
No, yeah, I've watched every single episode. Love Veep.
I started it through Tuesday, and I'm in season 4 now.
Oh, nice.
So I'm
yeah.
moving through it pretty quick.
They actually move really fast too. The episodes.
yeah.
It's very, very boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, and it's great the whole way through. And if you haven't watched it much like me, I would highly recommend it. The first 3 seasons are very good. They will make you laugh, but they are not like super hard belly laughs. And then the second season 4 hits, it's like, holy shit, this really gets off the rails fast, and it's fantastic.
Nice.
But that's also when they changed showrunners, so I like the second showrunner more, I think, although the first guy was very good. But the second showrunner also had a big hand in Seinfeld, from what I understand, so that also
That makes a lot of sense.
That makes
actually.
sense, yeah. But yeah, so if you haven't watched Veep, I highly recommend it. John, what about you?
So due to me moving to a new place and all that and being busy with work, haven't had a chance to watch or listen to a lot of stuff, but I have been on the commute listening to more Critical Role. The D&D podcast. And I'm trying to catch up because starting January, they're going to do a new campaign with the same actors and new characters and stuff like that. But, you know, D&D takes a while, so each episode is really long.
Yeah.
So I'm about halfway through the first run. So
Cool.
yeah, so I recommend it. It's fun.
Yeah. True, what about you?
I have still been incredibly tired after work every day, so I have not been watching too many new movies. And I have been trying to get to the big crossover Earth X invasion thing. Crisis on X. What was
Crisis
it?
on Earth X.
Crisis on Earth X on the CW shows. And fucking Arrow has made it such a chore because I want to make sure I actually watch the episodes leading up to it, but Arrow is just so boring.
That also includes the Flash, right? Is the Flash part
Yeah,
of that?
well, the Flash is in it, Legends of Tomorrow's in
Gotcha,
it,
okay.
Supergirl's in it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I've got through all those, but I'm just trying to get through Arrow to catch up, and it's just like, okay, I'm on the couch, I'm watching, ugh.
See, I think I really enjoy this season, but that's because I've been watching it in the background for everything. So,
Yeah.
like, I really only kind of, like, start paying attention when important things start happening, and all the fluff just kind of goes away, and it's like, oh, Ollie and Felicity are married now. I missed that part.
I like that Ollie and Felicity are back together. I hate that he's mad-menning it, and he's just doing it because she's good with his son. I always hate it when they do that in shows. They always make it seem so inspiring he really sees how great she is for his kids.
You should never stay together for the kid.
Yeah, it's really dumb. I don't like it when they do that in TV shows, and they seem to actually kind of do it a lot. I'm like, you're definitely going to get divorced later.
Divorcing Oliver? No way. He's such a stand-up guy.
I mean, he is, but he's very selfish at the same time.
Yeah, I was kidding. He sucks.
Yeah, he doesn't suck. I really like Ollie. He just needs to. He's better not in permanent relationships, I guess.
Sounds like a sucky dude.
And even though I still love the Flash, it's annoying me more and more. It's annoying me more.
Oh no.
That no one on the Flash has a job, essentially.
No, it's true. No one on that show works at all. And they all can afford everything. I don't know.
The apartment they just got was amazing.
Oh my god, yeah. Their apartment. I was like, how the hell? Where do they live? And how do they afford this? Their dad is a cop, guys. Their dad is a cop. How much is he fucking making?
I don't know.
Can I swear on this thing?
Yeah.
All right.
I open with fuck yes.
Oh yeah.
Barry and his dad they're cops. They have a job.
Right.
Iris is supposed to be a journalist, yet I never see her writing anything. How's Cisco?
She has a blog.
Oh.
Don't you remember?
Cisco and Killer Frost, Caitlin. Who's paying their bills? I don't know.
Well, she is part-time criminal. Maybe she's stealing it all in like the downtime.
On all the other shows, people got jobs. Supergirl's got a job.
Supergirl got a job.
Ollie's got a job. They all got jobs. Legends of Tomorrow don't got jobs because they're time travelers.
We start saying have.
Whatever.
We got. I prefer the don't got.
Yeah.
This is how frustrating it is. I can't use good grammar because it doesn't make sense.
Everybody get got.
I appreciate that analogy. Not analogy, but
so at this
explanation.
point, I'm just like, Caitlin and Cisco must be on welfare.
Or maybe they just they saved a lot. They're really
Who's paying the bill to power that station that they are imprisoning?
Oh, I know this one. I know this one. It's the Speed Force.
The Speed Force is paying the electric bill.
So I have a really honest question. Who builds everything that Cisco makes up? And because some of these things would take literally months, and he builds it in like an episode.
The Speed Force.
Who's paying for those parts?
No, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
But like things that would literally take like crews and crews and crews of people. It's like, that big trapping thing that was trapping the Yellow Flash or whatever his name was.
Reverse Flash.
There you go, whatever, yeah. But he's like, yeah, I built this. And I'm like, how the hell did you build that? There's no way you built this by yourself.
There are a lot of people rolling 20s on their die.
Exactly. Oh my god.
I get to build it.
Check that die. It's weighted.
So is this frustrating? I don't know if it's maybe that what bogs down Arrow is that they all are worried about actually having jobs all the time.
So they care about.
So maybe that's why
something.
Flash is so much fun because they just throw that out the window.
So you'd like homeless Green Arrow way more.
Maybe.
Elliot, what about you? Where have you been doing?
Yeah, so to continue the DC TV train, I'm actually going through season 3 of Gotham on Netflix. Now, that show, it's very clear the employment of all of So I think that immediately puts it way above the CW nonsense.
No, it's still better.
And the show is just so ridiculous and goofy and silly, and the plot twists are so inane. Like, I just kind of love it to pieces at this point. Like, every episode, just characters just behave in the wildest ways just to stretch out this material until they can finally get Batman to show up in like 10 years. I feel
like I already saw a preview with little bats in an outfit.
Yeah, they can't put it off any longer, but they can't actually do it. So
is he 12 or 13?
They're just gonna do it enough without actually doing it to piss off everybody. But the show is just such a weird miscalculation because they want to do the show that's Gotham before Batman really happens, but by doing that, nothing that will interest Batman fans is actually happening. So they have to have all the villains be way too old to eventually fight Pee-wee Batman when he shows up. And
Maybe they all have kids and they take up the mantle.
Yeah, it's gonna be
It's like the Descendants.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the Descendants, or it's gonna be like the younger brother or sister who avenges their sibling's death.
Yeah, just Batman just leaves out Junior in all of their names. So Penguin
Yes.
Junior, Joker Junior.
Honestly, if they had just scaled everybody younger and made it the Little Rascals, but starring Batman and the Legion of Doom.
Oh my God! Could you please do that? I have never watched this, but I would totally watch that. That would be amazing.
Because right now, Selena Kyle is Bruce Wayne's age, so that they can,
Bang.
bump uglies without it being a weird cougar thing.
But that works so well.
But they're just
It does. Yeah. Look at those levels. That's nice.
they're in that teenage phase where Bruce is really like crushing on her so hard, but Selena is rebuffing his advances even though she likes him, but she's too cool to be in a relationship like that. And it's just so adorable. Like the first season, them together, it was like Aladdin and Jasmine from the Disney movie. You had this rich kid versus this streetwise person who's like, hey, like, your parents died, boo-hoo, I'm an orphan, stuff like that. And
Is that a direct quote?
Uh-huh.
I'm into that show
Please.
then.
It was paraphrasing. But yeah, it's just the first season is the best because that's when Ben Edlund was working on it, the creator of The Tick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's kind of a rising tide that raises all boats. So the first season is the best, but it's still just so goofy and silly but it's like purposely goofy and silly, not like these DC movies. I think it's
You just can't help yourself.
every opportunity. I think it's a real good time that it's on Netflix. So if you're tired of watching Oliver rage against how these guys, they can't take hard training, they need to not be babies, you should actually watch the show with a baby Batman.
Honestly, I would have already been watching this called Baby Batman.
Oh my god.
If they did like Muppet Babies, but
Oh, yeah.
like with the whole Batman,
Oh, just like Muppet Justice League?
That'd be
Muppet Baby
amazing.
Justice
Yeah.
League? Oh, I'm totally into
Today on Muppet DC,
Exactly.
the Joker steals Batman's security blanket.
Quick plug. Quick plug. There is actually a webcomic called Year One that I think it's a kindergarten or something that has all the DC characters, but they all like wear their costumes all the time. So it's really cute. Like Superman has a crush on Wonder Woman, but Wonder Woman has a crush on Batman. And
Yeah.
Batman's just like he's the Dark Knight. He can't hold a girl's hand. It's Year One is a really fun webcomic that I would recommend for people.
Hey guys, Brian here. Just want to make a really quick fix. The comic that Elliot is talking about is actually JL8. If you search for it online, I'm sure you can find it. It's wonderful. I totally agree with him. I've been reading it as I've been cutting these podcasts. All right, back to the show.
That's cool.
While I'm looking this up, Joey, do you have where have you been doing?
Well, I've just been going through the Doctor Who's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's what I've been for the past week. Made it through into the new. Well, not the new Doctor. I'm like 2
You're
Doctors
still
behind.
in-
The new ones.
Matt
The
Smith.
new ones. Yeah, I'm Matt Smith right now. So with Amy Pond. Yeah.
You'll end up loving Rory the most.
Yeah, I know. I've already made it through this one, and then
Okay.
I backtracked because I got started with Blink.
Okay. Yep.
Great episode.
Great
Yeah,
episode. Yep.
So because my husband was like, no, you have to watch this episode because you don't have to know anything about the Doctor, and you're gonna love it. And then so I watched that, and then he started me. He's like, now I have to introduce you to Amy Pons. So then I went up to Amy Pons, and we stopped right before the Christmas episode. And he's like, okay, so now you have to go back and watch from the beginning. And I'm like, okay.
That's a weird way to go about it.
It's like you're getting lost in a labyrinth.
Yeah. Chris has a very weird
Wibbly,
order.
Wibbly Wobbly Timey Wimey. So the thing
Sure.
so you can watch them in any order you want to.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, yeah.
I'm just saying it goes with the universe, but no. But so the thing is like Chris had only watched that too, and then he talked to his best friend, and his best friend was like, "Wait, before you watch this episode, in order to understand what's happening in this episode, you need to go back and like meet all these different characters, cast of characters." So that's why we were like, "Oh, all right, we'll stop," and then Chris got busy, and now I was like waiting for him. I was like, "Okay, you're on your own. I have to do it myself because I can binge watch anything, and he has to be in the right mood and has to be the right time of day."
Yeah.
It's very weird. It's very weird.
Because watching a lot of Matt Smith before watching David Tennant, you don't get to see the library with River Song.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't understand the like emotional turmoil between him and her very much.
No, yeah, it was amazing. Like when I found out that was the first episode that she like showed up in, like I'm like, oh wait, I thought that she had started with Matt Smith. Like that's the first time we met her. But now I was like, oh, she was actually with one of the older doctors, and I was like, oh, that's amazing, that's awesome, because they carried that through, which is great.
And it's also like I love that bookend of the first day they meet is the day she dies.
Yes,
it's like that's just so fucking cool.
It was great.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing.
Should we start talking about Happy New Year's?
Yeah.
So yeah, this episode we are recording very early, actually earlier than the one that came out last week. But we're releasing this to celebrate Happy New Year's. If you have not been paying attention to our past few episodes, I wanted to do a good movie for New Year's, and there's no good movies for New Year's.
A lot of sappy movies.
There's
for
a
New
lot
Year's.
of like sappy Love Actually ripoffs or like just horrible fucking horror movies. Just not a lot of really decent New Year's movies. So I went, all right, so how about movies that take place at New Year's? And I came up with Ghostbusters 2. Because I love Ghostbusters 2, except for the ending, which we'll get into. And it gives me a good excuse to rewatch it and talk about it with people. So a little bit about it. It came out in 1989, and it did not do great. It made money. It did not make as much money as they were hoping. It was not very well reviewed. People were not a big fan of the very hokey, like, we all need to be friends ending, which I agree with them. They were right. But it has stayed the test of time. People still watch it. They still always watch it with Ghostbusters 1. So I think even though there's some bad in there, clearly people still like it, or we would not be talking about it today, nearly 30 years after it came out. But before we go too far down the rabbit hole, it's time for a breakdown. Joey, are you excited to do a breakdown?
Oh, Lord. Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
So, Ghostbusters 2 in 30 seconds. Here we go.
It's 5 years later. Everyone hates the Ghostbusters. And then Sigourney Weaver has a baby, and she runs over to this goo, and the goo goes into the street and takes the baby away. She runs to the Ghostbusters, says, help. Finds out that she works in the museum. The museum curator is possessed by a painting, and the painting wants the baby in order to come to life on New Year's Eve. The Ghostbusters find the ooze. They go to the court. The judge yells. The ghosts come out. The ghosts, everyone's like, oh, Ghostbusters, we believe in you again. Hooray. And then they're really, really busy. They find out that all the ooze is going towards the museum. The museum is covered in the ooze, and they
You're out of time.
Damn it.
You were actually doing pretty good there for a little while.
It's the little details that I'm like, well, but no, everyone has to know this.
Yeah.
So, anyway, all right.
Yeah, you got a little caught in the weeds there with
Yeah.
the details. But it was a full-blown failure, so way to lose.
Yeah, I can switch up the graphic a little bit.
Yeah. We've had a lot of successes here.
Well, you know what? As long as you need someone to lose, I'm happy I can be the person. So thank you for that.
Actually, I think that you just solved the problem. I need to stop showing people the timer, because now they're always like, oh, I have 5 seconds. I need to wrap it up in 5 seconds.
I've seen a lot of people just always glancing at that thing when they're talking.
Well, I think it's funny that I'm like, no, I'll do worse.
Yeah.
Because then I'll be like, Statue of Liberty, the end.
Yeah. Cody will famously always have the worst breakdown on our show, where he started talking, went, and then sat there for about 20 of his 30 seconds, went, I don't know.
All right, well, at least I got like halfway through the movie, right? That's good.
That's true. Okay, so where do we want to start on this thing?
Well, all the Ghostbusters have disbanded, and they're all doing their own thing.
Yes.
Some of them now work at birthday parties, and the other one's got a TV show, and then...
The other one is a teacher.
Yeah, the other one's a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Egon.
Do you guys like the 5 years later thing? Because I hear that bumped a lot of people when it came out. Like, because it ends on them like on such a high note, and then we come back to it, and it's like, oh, we have to start all over again?
I forgot that existed in the movie.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, I was like, interesting. So they're just jumping right into it with a smash cut like that. I thought it was actually kind of neat.
I didn't mind it, actually.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, oh, cool, because actually, society 5 years later, after nothing's happening,
Yeah.
who gives a shit?
Yeah,
Especially
no, that's
in
true.
New York.
No,
Yeah. Yeah, it totally, I mean, it works. It just, I will always kind of have I think Men in Black does it the worst, where it's like every time they're the new guy, and it's like, okay, but like, we've seen him succeed and not be the new guy before.
I really hate it when sequels do this.
Yeah.
Smokey and the Bandit Part 2 is
haven't
another
seen that
example. Probably the most well-known example. But I think it's always frustrating to see them just go through the same kind of arc again instead of building off of what they were left with last time.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating, and I think it prevents the story from really going in any new directions as opposed to just doing the same kind of things they did last time, except in a much suckier way.
They also accelerated it. So it's like it didn't take as long for people to understand what was happening because it already happened once before. So like they didn't have to go through the whole like exploratory of like what is happening because like
what
like,
are
there's ghosts.
Yeah.
Oh, we know there's ghosts.
How do these traps work? Like they
Exactly.
they
Like-
skip over that, but it still kind of feels a little like stuck in trying to stand on its own 2 feet instead of just being a sequel.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which is fine for some movies, but this one I kind of agree with Elliot, where it's like it's like they hit all the same points, but they're not as funny as they were last time. And once they finally get past all those same points, I start enjoying it again, and then it takes a really shitty left turn at the end. But that's just Chewie likes the ending. As I was watching it with her, I just started pulling out my phone, which is never a good sign of like, ugh.
You don't enjoy Kumbaya circles?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
In the realm of jumping the shark, it's a no holds bar jump.
Yeah,
And-
the Statue of Liberty walks down the fucking street.
And she doesn't step on anybody. She's very polite.
She crushes a police car.
She does.
Well, I don't know. Maybe that one smelled.
I'm just saying.
They
She
didn't
hates
park
the
in the right
police.
spot.
Yeah.
That's a whole other podcast.
But I saw this movie before I saw the first one as a child.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Huh, interesting.
So when I saw the first one, I was actually confused by a lot of things when I finally saw it. Be like, oh, wait, they had to go through all this crap? People didn't just understand what they were right away? I mean, they were rapscallions in the second one because people didn't take them seriously anymore. But that just makes sense because when you repeat history, everyone's like, oh, it wasn't that bad the first time. Yeah, it was. You just don't want to remember.
Yeah, and that totally makes, especially in a city like New York where everything moves a fucking mile a minute. Yeah, 5 years later, I could see people just like, Ghostbusters, that wasn't a thing.
And, there's just something about 4 dudes taking their happy juice and squirting it all over the city.
Oh my God.
Come on, guys.
That deserved a good moment of silence.
I mean, that's what they're doing. And
you're not wrong.
They allude to Egon sleeping with the ooze.
Oh,
And,
he totally jerked it into that ooze.
and that to me, as an adult,
Wait,
is the
did I miss this part of the movie?
This has always bothered me since I was a kid. So when they're talking, talking about yelling at the ooze and like, well, then we've tried doing positive things to it. Like positive, like say
Reinforcement, right?
reinforcement,
Playing nice music.
playing nice music, and then Bill Murray goes, "You're not sleeping with it, are you?" Or like something like that, and Egon just looks down. And he's like, "Oh, Egon, you dog!"
Oh, Egon.
I missed that completely.
And even, I don't remember how much I thought about it as a kid, but as an adult, I'm like, okay, so you guys were making this positive ooze. They were making it. This movie takes place over 2 weeks.
If that, yeah.
And so they made a lot of ooze.
They
in
really did.
that amount of time. I'm like, what were they doing to that ooze to make enough to squirt over the entirety of the Statue of Liberty?
I don't think
They had a lot pent up. They had a lot pent up.
No, they were playing it music so it would change its tune basically because remember like they had like all the ooze in there and like they were playing all that music. I think Rick Aston or whoever from the time like so they were listening to the music, so that made the toaster dance. Remember that part?
Yeah, I remember that part, but
Yeah,
it felt
so-
like they were making positive ooze versus negative ooze.
No, yeah,
That's
so
how I always took it.
they're converting the negative ooze into positive ooze by having those bats of music and making it listen to happy music, and it basically made it happy.
Either way,
happy ooze.
if they weren't just literally creating it, they still had to collect that stuff. And
Well, there's rivers, but there's rivers and rivers and rivers of it underneath the city.
not underneath the Statue of Liberty.
Well, no, they put that in their pack.
Yeah, but those packs didn't really look that big, and they
No,
spray that
and
shit
then they
everywhere.
still use it at the end when they spray it all over the museum. So.
All right.
It's the never-ending happy ooze.
I still think they had enough resources to get the ooze, but I just don't understand how they made it happy so fast.
Well,
hey,
Egon
hey,
Egon
might
apparently
be quite virile.
Tell you what, just spend a few minutes
Egon
in
could
the
be
corner
the
and
best
get really
lover
happy
in
for a
the
minute.
world, guys.
I mean, that's really the moral of this story. is
Exactly.
Egon can fuck goo.
and make it happy juice. And there you go.
And you guys out there can do it too.
And honestly, as a child, I found Egon to be the most attractive one.
Wow, that says a lot about me.
I always win for the nerds.
Ouch.
Honey,
What?
I love you.
There's nothing wrong with that.
He's got really good hair.
He does
Yeah.
actually. He does have really good hair, and he has a very strong chin.
Sure, yeah.
And he's very smart and confident.
That's
Is
true.
He's a little too
And he sleeps with
confident.
ooze.
Yeah, he
He's
sleeps
very,
with ooze.
he's very confident with his love juice.
So he's obviously not incredibly picky.
If it's moist, he'll stick it in.
And that right there, that right there shows up a stand-up quality.
That does speed up the process of making happy juice.
I was always afraid of doing this episode of how much we talk about Egon fucking the goo.
And now you found out.
At first, I thought it was just like a joke, but then when you see all that white stuff mixed in with the goo,
Yeah.
like it's hard to avoid.
it
Yeah.
does get quite a bit more of a pasty pink than the like bright pink it is underground.
Which really says Egon can produce.
Well, and it's just weird when they were collecting the first samples and it starts to reach up. I mean, that happens all the time. It's like it reaches out at you and you're like, oh god,
Ugh.
Gross.
happy juice. It's got a mind of its own. Comes after you.
Hashtag me too.
That joke feels too soon. But a woman said it, so we're okay.
I can make that joke
thank
if
God.
I want to.
It's okay. It's okay.
This could have got dark really, really fast, guys.
It's okay. I have a woman friend and she said it.
Exactly. No. Guess what my woman friend said?
I will be your one woman friend.
Jumping back into the movie.
Oh yeah.
Here's the one thing that always bumped me the most about this movie, and keep in mind I do enjoy it. But when I watched Ghostbusters 1 as a kid, because I saw that one first, it scared the shit out of me. But it still made me laugh. Like I still enjoyed the hell out of it because everybody's so funny. But when I got to this kind of the scary parts, it still made me scared. And I was a kid. I mean, the movie came out what 83, 84? 84. So yeah, it came out 2 years before I was even born. So by the time I saw it, I was still pretty young. But like the library scene, Zool at the end, like all of it, like it was.
The library scene was
It's
fucking terrifying.
It's
The
scary.
dogs.
The dogs.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
there was,
Those dogs.
Yeah, it was actually scary shit, but it was like a horror comedy, and like it struck that note perfectly. So like I could sit through it as a kid, even though I was afraid of it, because I knew the funny parts were still coming. This one, I don't feel like it ever went horror, and it's actually my problem with like the new one too. Like it was like they forgot that the ghosts scare people. They can scare people, so they just went full tilt comedy, and it always kind of didn't work as well for me.
But they did also because it's like when the judge finally screams and releases the ghost, right? Like
The
from
Scoleri brothers?
The Scoleri brothers, right?
Yeah.
They were Muppets. So the Scoleri brothers were like really, really deformed guys. Like why couldn't they just use actual like actors being those ghosts? Because they made them so cartoony that I was like, well, those aren't ghosts. Like I guess Slimer, being a different
They had very similar like distortions like Slimer had.
Exactly, yeah. And it just that I see where you can like it's more cartoony this way, and it's not as scary.
It feels kind of like a studio note. Like we want this one again. We want it to be funny, but can you make it less scary? Because I think we lost too many kids on it.
I find the Vigo to actually be quite scary in a way. I mean, from a young kid's perspective. When I first watched this movie, I was very afraid of him.
Oh yeah, the big bad in the painting. Yeah,
I've always been an art person.
Sure.
I loved going to art museums, and I always was one of those people that would just stare at the painting that's staring at you. And then like with things like Dorian Gray and whatnot, there's a lot of like history behind people thinking there's metaphysical and fantastical aspects that you can put into photography and paintings of representations of people and how you might actually capture their soul in a sense. So especially the Mona Lisa is a great example of that because people always feel like no matter where you're standing, the Mona Lisa is watching you.
I can feel it right now.
And honestly,
you're not even looking at it.
when you really look at the Mona Lisa, if you look at the Mona Lisa for too long, she stops being beautiful and she starts being creepy.
I've always thought she was creepy.
Can I give a counterpoint?
To Mona Lisa or to her point?
I was gonna say.
It's just my point is
Mona
that
Lisa
I think
is perfect?
The counterpoint would be that a painting is a shitty villain.
No, it's not. It's the same concept.
Like if I can tear it in half, like it's not that threatening.
But it's the same sort of thing with a box or with a knife or whatnot or any sort
With
of like
a box? What
I might
movie is
get
a
a
box
paper
a villain?
in Hellraiser.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay. But still, the box leads to an actual villain.
Yeah.
You open the box and shit comes out of it.
But why don't you just destroy the box?
What's
I
in the
don't know.
box?
But even so, like there's so many horror movies that are wrapped up around an object that someone mistreats or does the wrong thing with, and then it becomes terrifying.
In Ghostbusters 2, you get a shitty 3D effect that the head is like slightly emerging.
When you're first introduced to him.
Yeah, in the beginning.
I mean, that's kind of
He
it.
later leaves the painting, and then he's kind of creepy.
But he also can make people, I don't know, psychically.
So
it's got like,
Possesses,
so it's
there you
got
go,
the
possesses.
shitty little
It's such-
laser like Buzz Lightyear.
Getting possessed by things is such a trope in horror, like in The Exorcist. You don't really ever see the devil. It kind of talks to you through a Ouija board at one point, and then it just possesses the girl. The same thing that, I forgot his name. His name's not actually Vigo, right?
The name of
Painting?
the painting?
No, of the guy that gets possessed.
Peter
yeah.
McNichol.
Yaniv. No.
Hold on.
That'll work. Peter McNichol, I like that.
Peter McNichol.
None of us remember right now.
Petey boy.
But it's still the same sort of concept of the
Janos.
object possessing the person.
Janos.
Yeah.
You can't tear it down for doing the tropes of horror and just because it's in a comedy.
Well, you keep bringing up these other movies and other franchises that are built in a different way. And yeah, like if we were watching The Exorcism of Emily Rose, yeah, this painting would fit right into that aesthetic. But I feel like with Ghostbusters and that it's a comedy horror, I feel like the scares should be kind of fun, you know? And with this, instead of those crazy gargoyle dogs, we had Peter McNichol hamming it up to the rafters. And
But he was really
That was
funny.
really enjoyable.
was it?
Yes.
Does everybody at this table feel like Peter McNichol was really enjoyable in this movie?
I mean, how about an inaudible show of hands? Part of us.
The majority rules. Like if this was
The
the
majority
FCC,
is the three of us.
if this was the FCC, like
Then we just voted that Peter McNichol is funny.
Oh, no, I think he's
three
funny.
people go against the will of 80% of Americans.
And after
Good for our
rewatching this movie, he is the original Tommy Wiseau. Because
Again, different movies.
whatever. Tommy Wiseau is always like, I'm from Louisiana. I'm from New Orleans. And it's great when Bill Murray asks him, so where are you from? And he goes, Upper West Side.
Upper West Side?
You're comparing shitty apples to shitty oranges.
but things that are loved. Whether or not you think the storytelling is good, it is a movie that is loved and appreciated.
I feel like with different movies have different requirements. And I feel like with Ghostbusters, when after the stage has already been set by one of the best horror comedies that has ever existed.
Arguably the best.
You go to the sequel, and I don't want to do a meditation about the invasiveness of possession and how that's kind of like the rape of the spiritual body. Like, I just want to have a fun horror movie that has a lot of laughs in it. And Janos is just really trying way too hard.
I don't think that it's a... Here's my thing. It's like, I agree with everything you're saying. Like, as a sequel to Ghostbusters, I think this thing missed almost every mark it could have been going for. But I just try to look at it as a movie on its own. And as a movie on its own, it's still funny. Like, Peter McNichol's still really funny in it. Bill Murray is still fucking hysterical in this movie. Dan Aykroyd and... I'm forgetting...
Ernie Hudson.
Nope. Ernie Hudson is there, just like the first one.
Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis was he was underused too, but it's like it's the Egon.
Harold
Reitman.
Ramis.
Thank you.
We're all doing terrible names
Yeah,
today.
terrible today.
I
but I
named
still
everyone.
yeah, except for the one I
We.
needed.
I'm not in your brain.
I know. Why not?
Chewie won't let me.
Well, that's fair.
Yes, of course not.
But like, I still feel like all the chemistry's still there. I still feel like everybody's still having a good time. I still think it's a good movie. I just don't think it's a great sequel to Ghostbusters. I still think it's a very fun.
So you're saying if this was a standalone movie, you would have liked it? If it was not a sequel, if it was like the first time that you met the Ghostbusters,
I think I would have enjoyed it. Yeah,
you would be happy with the movie.
I still would hate the ending, but I still think it would be a good movie.
That I had.
Yeah, like if this,
Okay.
I can see why Chewie likes it. Like I think the people who love this movie, I don't really argue with because I get it, but I still think there's just if this was the only Ghostbusters movie, I think people would like it and they go back to it, but kind of in a way of like, oh, remember that movie from the '80s? That was a fun time. It would not have like the we need to remake this. It's one of the greatest comedies ever. It would have been fine.
Yeah.
I think I haven't seen this movie since I was in elementary school. The first Ghostbusters I've seen over and over and over.
Yeah.
But this one, I definitely saw it when I was a kid, but it didn't get the replay value from me. So being that this is the first time that I've seen it since I was pissing my bed. I feel like it took a while. I feel like it was better than I expected. It's definitely like mildly amusing here and there. There's definitely chuckles, but I think that it definitely pales in the shadow of its predecessor. Yeah, and I don't think it has the iconography of like, wow, this is the great thing that makes Ghostbusters 2 earn its place in the film canon.
Well, I think that just comes down to whether or not you enjoy Peter McNichol. Like, if you think he's like stealing, like he's like just way too cheesy and hamming it up, how you said, if he's way too far that way, then yeah, this movie completely falls apart. But if you're into it, you're into his fake accent and him just kind of having a goofy, fun time, then that's the defining thing in the movie.
If Peter McNichol is the benchmark for the movie, I mean,
that's a weird benchmark. I agree. But...
To be clear, he was really good as Dr. Octopus on The Spectacular Spider-Man. I have no ill will toward Peter McNichol, but it's a movie that is very much a contractually obligated film, whereas the first movie is kind of lightning in a bottle. Like, you couldn't... The only way that movie came together was because the right people made it at the right time with the right studio support. And this is very much like Ghostbusters was a hit, make another one. Yeah. This was the summer of sequels with Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and Lethal Weapon 2 and License to Kill. Like, there were a lot of big movies competing that summer. And not to mention Batman, which started a craze that is still going strong today, whether or not Ben Affleck continues.
Just can't help yourself.
Every time. I just look at your face and I just want to dash your joy a little. I have something that I want to get the table's opinion on.
Oh, go for it.
Sigourney Weaver in this movie, her character is just so different than she was in the first one. Like, she mentions offhandedly, like, oh, like, now that the baby is a little older, I'm thinking about getting back into the orchestra, like she was in the first movie.
Which feels totally like they finished writing the script and like, fuck, she's restoring paintings. What was she doing in the first one?
Exactly.
Well, it's like, I saw it more like they didn't expect Sigourney Weaver to come back, so they created this new character who's, working at a museum, and she's a single mother, and then it's like, oh, we got Sigourney Weaver? Shit, let's just, like, jam Dana Barrett into this role, and just, like, I guess, because it really feels like Sigourney Weaver is great in the first movie.
I think she's good in this one.
I think it's just, she is... Well, I didn't get a lot out of her.
I think some of that disconnect also feels like it's kind of tied to that 5 years later thing, that the movie doesn't really care about the context either.
No.
So just wipe your mind of continuity for a lot of things and just go with it as this own thing that's not really, like you said, a sequel to Ghostbusters.
It's also a men's movie. No matter what anyone says, men get so worked up about Ghostbusters, kind of like you are right now, Elliot. It's one of those weird polarizing thing for men's childhoods where they're like, don't you fuck this up, this is part of who I am. And from those type of movies, when a woman gives birth and becomes a mother, every time her personality completely changes into this gentle, motherly, caring, flowery lady.
Absolutely, and that's what I thought about her too.
That's just what it is.
Yeah, she was very much.
But still, she had one of the best moments of the movie when they all come to Bill Murray's apartment. And they're like, you need to come down to the sewer with us. And he's all like, these guys want me to come down to the sewer with them. Do you want to cancel our date? And she just smirks and goes, taxi! Perfect. Like, she still has her own agency, even though they did give her a big personality shift because she's a mom and she's a lady.
She's a mom and she has something else to care about now. And it's not... She's definitely not as powerful as she was in the first one.
No, not
like just as a character.
Because just in the way that things are depicted in film, single women are more powerful than mothers in general, in the way that they're depicted, especially in the 80s.
Yeah. But kind of jumping off what Elliot was saying, I wonder if this was a different character, would we give one fuck about her? I don't think so. If the character just exists in the movie as written without Sigourney Weaver playing it, I don't think we care
you
about this woman
wouldn't.
at all.
But also, just the interactions with her would have been completely different. I
What?
loved the flirting between her and Venkman.
Yeah, no,
Just
I'm
the
saying
whole,
that's
like,
all
we
great.
had a past experience together was fun.
But kind of like what Elliot was saying, like they were lucky they got Sigourney Weaver because
Yeah.
she.
Was she not going to come back? Sorry,
I don't know, but
I'm not too familiar with this.
I honestly don't know, but I agree. It kind of feels like they wrote a new character and like, oh shit, we got her. It sounds like they kind of shoehorned her into this thing, but I mean, I could be wrong. But I'm very biased towards Sigourney Weaver. She's one of my favorite actresses fucking ever. So I don't think she really has it in her to give like a really bad performance. So like they gave her nothing, but she still made it worthwhile and made it a character that I enjoy watching on the screen.
See, I view it as the writers were having a hard time figuring out how to fit her in to this story because she played such a pivotal role in the first one, right? She was a huge moment. And they're like, well, we have to put her in this somehow and we have to make her part of it. But they also took away her power because she was, I mean, why couldn't she join the gang? Why couldn't she have been a Ghostbuster? You know what I mean? Like
she has a vagina.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's also the way they wrote her in the first movie, she would have no interest in that.
Well, sure, but I'm just saying, like, to make her be a part of this universe, still, they had to find a way to make and I feel like that's where they were a discredit to her because you're right, she wouldn't be interested in this her first character, but she had to be involved, so they made her the damsel in distress with the baby who needed saving, etc.
She was a damsel in distress in the first film too.
Well, sure, but with the I don't know, I find her more powerful in the first one. I find her character a lot more interesting.
But she's also super sexy in the first one.
Yeah, and she's just super sexy in general. She's Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, in this one.
Yeah, but no. Did you see? I mean, even their costume choices for her in this one versus the first one.
Another thing
she's way more conservative. This one.
Beyond
the
but
beyond
once
the,
again,
the
it goes back.
bathhouse
It goes back to Chewie's point of she is a mother now.
Yeah.
She is a caregiver.
You tone it down and you button it up, honey.
Exactly.
Okay, she basically had a boob slip while walking in the towel, but other than that, I agree with you.
That was the one sexy moment they gave her.
Yeah.
She was still wet and moist and just holding that towel on instead of tying it around herself like any normal woman would do.
Is it the only scene where she's without her baby, like in terms of geography and scene work?
There's quite a bit of scenes without her baby.
Yeah, I think there's a few.
Okay, because that would make sense then that they would have her in the towel for that when she's enough distanced away to help you forget that she's a mother.
I mean, she's in her
You
bra
can
when
only
the baby
be
almost gets
sexy
kidnapped,
when you're
but-
not a mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was that moment of like, and mommy's gonna take off her shirt too,
Yeah.
and then the tub comes alive. It's
Happy Jews!
Happy Joe's.
Happy Jews want to eat
So
you!
gross. Like, it is a gross depiction. Like,
That was the end of me taking baths. After that, I took showers because I was afraid the bathtub was going to eat me. So I guess maybe it did scare me a little bit.
I remember as a kid that was a bit of a traumatizing scene.
Oh, yeah. And then...
and horror films in the 80s just loved making it a weird, sexually terrible moment for women with bathtubs.
Yeah.
Like this and the scene with Nancy and Nightmare on Elm. It's just like, ugh, every time. I'm just like, why do we have to keep doing this, guys?
Because it's creepy.
Yeah, because it's scary.
So
Because
creepy.
it's effective. It
Bathtubs
works.
are scary.
Yeah.
Men don't like baths.
For the last time, Ma, don't make me take a bath.
Come on, Mom, stop it.
The other thing I want to bring up, we touched on it very briefly. Rick Moranis, I still will always say, is one of the funniest people ever to have lived. He's still alive now. He's not dead. He just doesn't do as much. And the thing that always makes Rick Moranis so funny, especially back in the 80s, was he was allowed to write his own characters. And that's what always made him so funny. It was like, so Ghostbusters 1, like he had some things, but he always was allowed full input. And that's like him getting locked. I think it was like him getting locked out of the apartment all the time. That was his idea. Like there's a lot of things that are always his idea. And the main reason he stepped away from comedy was because the more big movies got, the less input he was allowed to have. And this movie to me feels, I could be wrong, felt like he got very little input. Like it really felt like, oh, people love Rick Moranis and love him the first movie. Let's shove him in here some way. And it just felt really forced and awkward the whole time.
In his first scene, he's explaining why he shouldn't really be their lawyer right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was funny. It was
a funny scene.
Yeah.
Especially leading Bill Murray, telling him what to say. What was that? What was that? What'd you say?
I mean,
My favorite moment with him was when he's trying to say the bedtime story to the baby. He starts
going to tax law.
Yeah, that's right. Which
well,
is
they
funny,
really
'cause they
shouldn't
couldn't
do
have-
that, but in the
exactly.
context of the story.
But yeah, I love Rick Moranis, and like I miss him, like because he makes comedy albums that he admits are not for me. He's like, if you weren't born and raised Jewish, most of these jokes are going right over your head. And then I listen to his album, I'm like, yeah, I don't get them, but I still really love you, and I want to listen to them. But like this movie for me is like kind of like the end of my love affair with Rick Moranis, because it's like, oh, this is kind of like we can start feeling him start to step away.
He's actually really good in the Flintstones.
He
is really good in the Flintstones.
He's really
He's
good
fantastic
in
in the
Honey, I
Flintstones.
Shrunk the Kids.
And yeah,
No, I know. I'm
Well,
just
that
saying,
was
and even
before
actually,
this.
even Honey, I Blew Up the Baby.
Or it might have been the same year.
I do not like that one.
Oh, come on.
He
He does great though.
I actually
sorry.
like Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves more than I like
Honey, I Shrunk
Blew Up the
Ourselves
Kid.
is better.
That was
but,
pretty good.
Yeah.
I've never seen Honey, I Shrunk Ourselves. I've
Oh, really?
also never seen Honey, We Blew Up the Baby.
It has
Well, the thing
Mila
is this-
Kunis in it.
Does it really?
Yeah,
you
when
serious?
she's real young. It's her and Chloe from Smallville.
Wow.
They're both in it.
Say, I've seen the movie a bunch of times. I didn't remember that.
I didn't
at
put
all.
that together.
Yeah.
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 Well, it's
Like-
before they were famous.
Yeah, Rick Moranis still had great roles after this, but like for me, this was kind of like the mark of like, oh, like I'm not getting another Strange Brew out of him. Like I'm not going to get anything else. It's like gonna like make me gut bust laughing.
Yeah, I think his wife passed away and he
Yeah,
retired
yeah.
to spend time with his kids.
Yeah, because like he still does interviews. Like there's an entire interview with him on the Nerdist from like 4 or 5 years ago, like when his album came out.
Yeah.
He's still very funny. He's still a really nice guy, and it's like I want to see more of him, but it's just he has no interest in spending time on movie sets. So that's that.
I mean, it's a thing with actors where if they stay in it too long, they just wind up starring in really shitty movies, like De Niro or something.
Yeah, totally.
So, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world to
No,
just,
no, not at
like,
all.
when your opportunities start to decrease, to just kind of step away.
Yeah.
I mean, Gene Hackman, I'm way nostalgic for Gene Hackman now, and I wouldn't be that way if he was putting out, like, Meet the Fockers and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know his last major film, but like he was great in like Tenenbaums.
Like, yeah, Royal Tenenbaums and, like, Behind Enemy Lines,
Yeah, no, he's
Heist, that kind of stuff.
yeah, but like Rick Moranis.
Oh, his last movie was Welcome to Mooseport with Ray Romano.
Oh,
yikes!
I remember that.
Oh my god.
But like Rick Moranis in this movie, I thought he did a really good job with virtually nothing. Like,
Yeah.
like even making him a Ghostbuster. As a kid, I'm like, yeah, Rick Moranis is a Ghostbuster. Then as I got older and rewatched, I'm like, oh, that was a bad choice.
I love the fact that just at the end where like it's him with that with the laser thing,
Yeah.
and then everything goes away, and everyone's like, "Good job!" And he's like, "I'm a Ghostbuster." Like I was like, "I'm all good for you." You know, you did nothing. You
I
did
think-
absolutely nothing.
I like Janine as a Ghostbuster more, but we
Oh
didn't
my
get that to
God.
the cartoon show.
Cartoons.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You know,
but I wanted Amy Potts' one because I love her.
Just Amy Potts,
Annie
not
Potts,
Janine.
sorry.
I like how they were able to, once they finally busted those Scoleri brothers, how they were able to get their building back
Yeah,
and get the car back and get everything back that they somehow let lapse and disappear.
Well, they something got really, really busy, and so they had money in order to fix everything.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
remember, like the first shot of the ectoplasm is like it's all broken down, and like there's smog coming out of the back, and like it's just like horrible. All of a sudden, the next shot after the Scoleri brothers is like a brand new, like souped up, like
Yep.
Ecto one.
with like 1 ton of like lights on top of that vehicle.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the tires never blew out on any turn. Watching it again.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned the 2016 movie a few minutes ago.
I did.
Oh, I get you mixed up.
He
I
was
understand.
looking at me for the audience.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So, one thing that I think the Ghostbusters, are we calling it Answer the Call, or it's just Ghostbusters 2016?
The Ghostbusters 2016 because
Okay.
Answer the Call is a stupid subtitle.
Well, who are you going to call? They got to answer the call. Anyway, one thing that I do think the 2016 movie is better than this one. And one thing that movie has...
I'll agree.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
One good innovation of that new movie is that they take the time to give the Ghostbusters a lot of different weapons. So they have like a lot of different variety for their ghostbusting scenes. Because with this one, when you get to the end and it's just like, okay, let's shoot the proton
juice.
packs,
Yeah.
man juice. Let's the
I love that
licorice
that's what it is
sticks.
now.
Yeah, let's just fire the guns at them. It's kind of a letdown. I think that the new movie, one of the benefits of it is just that they like have the ghost busting bombs and like a lot of different things.
And handguns were pretty cool.
Yeah, I think
that-
that
That'll
was a good
still go
addition.
down as one of my favorite moments in all of cinema.
Which one?
When Holtzman pulls her guns out, gives him a good lick, and then just starts kicking ass.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's a great
For
character.
a woman, see, like, same reason why I like Gamora and Nebula's
Nebula.
fight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The non-sexualization of a woman in a fight is so rare that when you get it, it just makes your heart flutter. It's
Is there anything else on Ghostbusters 2 we want to talk about?
Yes, the ending.
Let's get to the ending.
You can't leave that out.
I mean, I feel like we were going a little more negative of this movie than I planned on, so I was gonna like just skip the ending because that's where I just go like, fuck this movie.
Okay,
hold on.
From
Let's
the lens of modern day, of the current atmosphere of
the,
not just New York but America. We are all very angry.
It's true.
Whether or not
the pink goo would win in America right now.
Are you kidding me? It wouldn't just be flowing underneath New York. It'd be across the sewer systems in all of America.
Yeah. Whether or not you are pro the system right now or anti the system right now, you're mad. Totally. And we all keep talking about coming together to make it better, but no one really wants to. Everyone just wants to win. So it's
true.
And so, like, the message in this movie is, like, we all just need to come together and defeat the one big bad evil. And in this movie, it is also blonde.
Okay, so that's a good point. But, okay, so here's why I don't like it. Because I don't really have a problem with a super hunky-dory, like, let's all be pals sort of thing. That really doesn't bother me. Because I feel like other movies have done that, too, and it didn't bother me. This one bumps me because it feels to me like they didn't know how to say it without just being super on the nose.
It is super on the nose. It's just super sappy and over the top.
It hits you over the head with this like friendship bat so hard.
This movie is not subtle across the board. There's nothing in this movie that would be like a subtle hint of anything. It is very much hits you across the face. So why would the ending be any different than what they presented you throughout the entire movie?
The most subtle thing in this movie is Egon sleeping with the goo.
Exactly. which
we've done a solid 5 minutes on.
I want to go to your DeviantArt page.
Get ready to look through 100 pages, my friend.
Do you think The Blob is actually just like a movie after this when he breaks up with the goo?
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm so angry. He dumped me.
I'm beautiful.
Love me. But I don't disagree with you. Like there is no subtlety throughout the entire movie.
Not at
so
all.
It fits the tone of the ending of the movie. I feel like I don't have a good reason that I don't like it beyond just like it didn't work for me. Like I'm just watching the Statue of Liberty march down the street and it's like
and everyone cheering it.
And everybody cheering it on. I'm like, this is just so corny that like I feel like it just like it was like tolerably corny throughout a point, and then like that last third, it's like, you know what? I can't take it anymore. Like it's just too corny for me.
It's not earned like it is in the first film.
It's like, how did no one stop these guys at any stage in this process? When the police stopped them with the digging in the street, like there's some weird logic problems with it too that are just like, okay,
well, just the digging in the street is like it's in the fucking sewer. Just open up a manhole.
Yeah,
but no, it wasn't in the sewer. That was just it. Is that it was in an abandoned station that had been closed off or whatnot. That's why they had to dig in the street.
Okay, retracted.
I'm just saying. Sorry, I just watched this today, so it's like it's right there in my head.
They accidentally dig a little too.
What time did you wake up today?
7.
Whoa.
Some people are morning people.
I am not.
I'm definitely not a morning person, but I knew that I had to watch this, or else I'd come here and be like,
Okay, I have 2 things. One, poor Ernie Hudson with this movie, because he's in there right at the beginning where they're doing the Saturday birthday party thing, dancing to. I think it's funny to see them dancing to their own theme song.
I did enjoy that.
But then it's like he just
enjoyable.
vanishes
completely
until he just kind of like steps in from off screen.
Yeah. It is so apparent.
I'm still here.
Oh,
you are.
Exactly. This movie series has no idea what to do. Had no idea what to do with him.
Not at all.
In both movies, and in this second movie, it is so glaring.
Well, like I kind of forgot he was there because like he wasn't there for like the middle part of the movie, and all of a sudden he comes back, and I'm like, where have you been?
The best line.
What have you been doing?
Where they're like, and they be slow is just the 3 of them. Like all the best lines and moments are just the 3 of them.
It really felt like an odd holdover from the first movie, because the first movie felt like, well, we wrote this great role for Eddie Murphy and he didn't want to do it, so we still want to have somebody there, and we got a good actor, Ernie Hudson, and then nobody really liked him, but I guess we'll keep him in the next one, and it just felt like an odd, like...
Even in Stranger Things, none of the kids want to be Winston.
Yeah, nobody wants to be him, and it's like, the thing, it's not Ernie Hudson's fault. Like, he's a very good actor. He's phenomenal throughout the entire show of Oz. Like, if you've never seen Oz... Like,
Congo.
Sure, that's a movie he's in.
This has nothing to do with the actor at all.
He's great.
This is the director and the writers and whoever. Like they gave this guy nothing.
Yeah.
But they're like, but he was in the first one, so we kind of have to include him in. So he literally, and I think I'm sorry, I'm bad with names today.
John.
Anyway, when you said that he like literally walks in from like off screen.
I said that.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Elliot.
Damn it.
Sorry, Elliot.
BRYAN, Chewie.
Guys, I woke up at 7 to watch this movie, and I'm not a morning person. That's all I'm saying. No, but like he literally just like pops out of nowhere, says something, and then disappears. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I agree. He was completely underused, and they didn't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
And it's sad that he got the goofy part in the beginning that makes fun of them.
Sigourney Weaver's character is still better than him.
Yeah, I mean, Sigourney Weaver still got more than Ernie Hudson.
Yeah.
Poor Ernie Hudson.
No, I really felt bad for
Pour
him.
one out.
Yeah.
Right over the recording.
Right over the recording. And that's the end of
We've
the
already done that
podcast.
once. I'm never doing that again.
The other thing that I thought was funny was there were a couple actors who I had no idea who they were in the 90s or when I saw this as a kid. Because Kevin Dunn is one of the
From
psychic
Veep?
guys. Yeah, he's
that's right.
Shia LaBeouf's father in the Transformers movies. You got Kurt Fuller from Wayne's World
Yeah.
as the mayor's assistant. And then Harris Yulin, who was the head of the Watchers Council on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He's the judge in the courtroom scene.
Do you ever wonder, like, what could I have learned if I didn't have all this movie knowledge in my head?
I am floored by all this knowledge that you just have.
Yeah.
Like wow, that's amazing.
Doesn't everybody know who Harris Yulin is?
Like I literally was like,
recognize
well, he's gonna
faces,
give me
but I
he's
don't
gonna give me a
remember
thing.
all their names.
It's like this and multiplicity. You just sit up in your chair and like, oh shit, it's Harris Yulin.
Oh my God.
So I have this new idea for a drinking game based off of you as a guest.
Yeah.
And it's anytime there's a reference that's just so amazing and brought in so flawlessly, you have to drink. I think we'd all be dead.
Yeah, I was
You
gonna
get
say,
some
I'm
real
all-
height stakes. I would just go any deep cut. But if you want to go,
And Philip Baker Hall. He's in the
him, the classic
the-
Philip Baker Hall.
Oh no, he's
Wait,
the
who's
library
he?
detective on Seinfeld.
The
Are
library
you
detective.
serious?
Holy fuck!
Kids want to read a book without having their minds warped.
Hold on. Who
The
was
library
he?
detective.
Who was he in this movie?
I'm looking for
He's
him
just
right now.
like he's a passerby in the big courtroom. They're
I'm
like
sorry.
in
Are you
the
just
mayor's
pulling out
office or
random?
something. No, I was like, oh snap, it's Philip Baker Hall. He's in.
No.
There he is.
He's
There
the
he
colonel
is
on
at
Boogie
IMDb.
Nights.
Police commissioner.
He is so. Seriously, watch the episode of Seinfeld with the library detective, and it's gonna blow your hair back. He is just so amazing. Elvis is gonna be on either the next episode or the last episode.
It was on last week's episode.
Elvis was on last
You know,
week's
you
episode, and if he was here, he would be able to tell you how great Philip Baker Hall is as the library detective.
Of all the people he's mentioning, Elliot has not mentioned Cheech.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Cheech Marin's in it too. He
With that
is.
Too busy with
Stash.
Philip Baker Hall.
That's true. He's in it as well. He's in the scene with Titanic coming
Yeah.
back.
And also when they stole the Statue of Liberty, he's there too.
Yeah,
Because he's just looking at the window going,
they really
Yeah,
just
he
kind of
just-
like we got a
They-
solid like
Mouth
10
gaped
minutes
up.
of him in a
Cheech
window.
Marin in a window.
exactly. No, and that's just it. He was there. He was like on set one day. They're like, hey, do you want to be this guy? Like, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
Like-
so he was actually famous though by the
Yeah,
same
Yeah.
name.
Cheech was
That was
famous.
a
Everybody
cameo.
else was to be famous. Like Philip Baker Hall, arguably his best role is still in his future.
As the library detective.
He's so good as the library detective.
I know exactly.
Done way more than that.
Yeah,
He's
he was
been
in
working
Magnolia.
forever.
He was good in that.
Yeah, Magnolia. He's in 50-50.
50-50.
And Boogie Nights.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yeah, I said he was the colonel in Boogie Nights.
Oh.
Keep up.
Oh wait,
Chewie.
with Seth Rogen.
Oh,
and-
50-50. I was thinking 40 days and 40 nights.
Yeah.
See, come on. How is 40 Days and 40 Nights?
He
They're
also,
they're numbers that
eye
repeat.
rolling pull.
he
the
also
bear.
plays Hank Hippopopoulos in BoJack Horseman.
There you go.
Oh.
Of course.
I actually know
So
exactly
good.
who that is.
You do?
Yeah, it's a good show. You should all watch
Philip
BoJack
Baker
Horseman.
Hall.
Actually, it's a
you
lot of
should
fun.
do a
Yeah, I
Philip
really like
Baker
it.
Hall retrospective.
Yes, we should.
Actually, I've been
Starting with
thinking,
Ghostbusters 2.
I've been hoping to make a board game, and I hope the internet
A
doesn't
Philip
change.
Baker Hall board game.
No, I
Deck
hope
the
the internet.
Philip Baker Hall.
I just want to make a board game called Know Your Bob.
Know your Bob.
Yeah, where all the famous Bobs, and you have to guess it. What is Brian laughing at?
Deck the Philip Baker Halls. I want that game right now.
Kickstarter right now. I will put my life savings on that.
It's like Pin the Tail on the Donkey, but you're just punching posters of Philip Baker Hall.
So I fell asleep during this movie. So
Oh gosh.
why don't you fill me in a little bit? So the museum was encased in the the goop.
Yes.
The
The
angry
love
goo.
juice.
The angry goo.
And they decided,
love
okay, the
Kangaroos.
way to get into it was to hijack the Statue of Liberty.
Yes.
They infuse it with the happy goop.
Yes.
Yep.
And then they walk over to the museum, and she just like bangs it with her fiery
With
Her
the
torch.
tablet.
Yeah,
With the
torch is the
torch.
word.
Torch.
Yep.
and then they're done with the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Well,
and it stays there forever.
Yeah, so now it's just
No,
in
it's
the
back
middle.
at the end of the movie. They move it back.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
They get back in and like
Yeah.
yeah,
Walk
so
the
back
other
up.
way.
It can only like walk backwards. It can't turn around because there's not enough.
Although
space.
it was on the ground when they got out. Like when they got out.
no,
just-
it was laying on the ground.
Yeah, it
like
lays
Escape
down.
from New York.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing is that so they go inside and all this is happening and all the people are outside and the Statue of Liberty was leaning over like this
Yep.
to let them in through her crown, right?
Yep.
So they rappel into the museum through her crown, and then the next shot is the Statue of Liberty literally like falling over, but no one heard it fall. So like there was not a
She
big
laid
crash.
down gently.
Oh, she just
Yeah, she just
fell
took a
down.
nap.
Okay, yeah.
Feather fall.
What's that?
Like she was
Feather fall.
Feather fall.
It's
Yeah,
the same
yeah. That giant
consideration
metal
she
thing
showed
is just
while
falling like a
walking
feather.
through the city.
Yeah,
I like that's where you draw the line.
Joe is
Hey.
totally into this movie, but there was no sound when the Statue of Liberty
You know,
fell
no,
over.
no, no. But come on.
know-
You gotta.
If I got to just do a full fanfic after this movie, I want to merge it with Super Mario Brothers. So then Luigi comes in.
Oh, boy.
We gotta trust the fungus.
Oh God.
And Egon would be totally for that. And then suddenly the Statue of Liberty has to fight Godzilla. Like, I would like to do all this mashup.
I think it's time for quotes. I think we finally
Come
crossed
on,
that
guys.
line.
Oh wait, hold on. I had one thing.
Oh, one more thing.
So the special effects in this one versus like the first one. So
Sure.
So the ghosts were a lot more cartoony. We mentioned that
Yeah.
earlier. But also like they had a lot of opportunity to show us things, and they just show us the aftermath of them all catching ghosts. Did that
That's the
bother
same way it
anyone?
is in the first movie. The only ghost they bust in the first movie is Slimer. The rest of it is showing them running through the streets carrying the traps. In
Oh,
this,
that
at
is-
least you get the jogger.
No,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. Oh
You
yeah,
get the
yeah,
jogger,
yeah.
and
So
that's about it, yeah.
I was gonna say, but yeah. So like, did that bother anyone that they didn't try to go more about that route? Because that kind of bothered me in this film.
I mean,
That-
it's
I
never
I didn't get to
really.
see more.
I think because I saw it so young, I don't remember my first time seeing it. So it's just
Gotcha.
kind of like one of those ones where it's like just always in my head of like, this is the movie. So I feel like if I saw it now, just like clean, like never have seen it, that would bother me more. Like I want to see them busting more ghosts.
Yeah,
It's
that's
because
what I wanted.
We're
yeah.
used
Yeah.
to bigger budgets with more special effects, and we're actually just in films in general these days. We're used to oversaturation of
Yeah.
effects.
I did notice that the blowjob ghost didn't come back.
Yeah.
Sorely missed.
Okay, honestly, as an adult, all of the little misogyny jokes from the first movie, I don't miss in the second one.
There's a huge one, and it's one of the best lines in the movie that I can use for my quote.
Ooh, do you remember when Bill Murray calls the female lawyer kitten in the courtroom?
Oh no,
Because that's one.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
They-
not the
they're
best
still,
line in the movie.
yeah.
It was still
the
written in the
Ghostbusters
80s.
are
Yep.
still,
It's still
still
definitely
a
an 80s movie.
misogynist.
Yeah. Did you notice that since we're talking about all this ooze, I started thinking about Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers movie? Did he
course he
have,
did.
Did he have ooze that was as good as this ooze?
He did not.
His
This
ooze
is
was
just better.
purple, right?
What's
Yeah.
the deal?
I don't know.
It's your franchise, man.
I
Support
do
it.
love Power. I can't support that movie. That movie's a fucking mess.
Really?
Yeah, I love it, but it's I'd rather watch. Yeah.
Something's gone
That
wrong, and it's burst our bubble.
You need to work on your
It's
lyrics.
so
They're still wrong.
bad. We'd have it on VHS.
And DVD.
Yeah.
So
I didn't
good.
even know they made that on DVD. I thought it
course
was
they did.
just that huge VHS case, the
we
Disney
have
style.
it.
Some
Yeah, we
movies
have
shouldn't
that.
go to DVD.
I actually bought the VHS of that for Brian to use as a white elephant present at his work, and then he decided not to.
Everyone would know it was me.
So, you are to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie VHS, as Egon is to the ooze.
That sounds horrible.
Because Egon
I haven't
loves
fucked the
ooze.
tape.
No, like
That's
you don't.
not
you-
how you
No, no, no.
rewind it, honey. Stop.
Exactly. Well, you can't rewind it that
No.
way. No, as much as you try.
You have this case, the VHS case that like opens up.
I'm still gonna say no. I'm gonna distance myself from that analogy as far as I can.
Run.
Let's move into quotes. Quotes.
Quotes.
Like you would.
No, we're moving into quotes.
You would lovingly caress the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers DVD, VHS case, and then you would hate fuck Turbo.
The joke for like 20 people, but I really appreciate it.
I
fucking hate Turbo.
I have 2 quotes.
You
I have
too.
the best.
You
quote.
really do fucking hate Turbo.
I have the best quote and then the what the fuck quote.
All right, we'll save your what the fuck for the end.
Okay.
Do you want to go with your best quote?
Yeah. So the best quote is I think it's Dan Aykroyd who says that when Vigo left, he left behind with the words "Death is but a doorway, time is a window, I shall return," or something like that. That's a really badass quote that's just kind of like offhandedly tossed off.
That's a surprisingly badass quote that I've never realized is in this movie.
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd, they're like walking into
Totally
a
just
building.
forget that one.
It's
Yeah,
like,
when they're talking about,
death is but a doorway, time is but a window, I
Yeah.
shall return.
That's pretty awesome.
That's
a
what he
good
said
quote.
before his head was taken away. The bad guy.
Okay,
when
yeah.
he was like
Yeah.
quartered and like taken away from
Yeah.
him.
It's pretty awesome.
And then
To
Brian
die would be the
Clevenger.
greatest adventure of all.
That's a good one.
Which one was yours?
Anyway, so Brian Clevenger in the 8-Bit Theater webcomic, which is a great webcomic, he has one of the villains say that quote after he's defeated. Not Chewie's quote.
Wait,
But
what?
the
quote
death
was
is but a
him,
doorway, time is
that's
but a
right.
window, I shall return. And then it cuts to one of the dumbass adventures, and it's like, well, that's the last we've seen of that guy. Good stuff. 8-Bit Theater, nuclearpower.com.
Joey, what's your quote?
A child? I love that.
Perfect.
Could you deliver it again, please?
A child?
Very nice.
A
Is that Yano?
child.
Yeah, it was Janos.
It's
Okay.
definitely.
I love Yanu. Or Janos, whatever his name is.
It's.
You know?
I do too.
You know?
It's great.
Yeah.
I love him hamming it up. I know you hated Elliot, but I don't care because it brings me so much joy.
Elliot
Okay.
is the definition on our podcast of we can love you and disagree with you on almost every movie.
Yeah.
We have that with a lot of our friends.
We do, but we don't have them on our podcast as much as we have Elliot on.
Yeah.
You have very odd hills that you choose to die on.
John, do you have a quote?
We don't die on any of them.
Yes, it's when they're trying to. They're at Dana's place and checking it all out, and Egon's like, "Venkman, get a stool sample." And Venkman's like, "Business or personal?"
It's a good one. Joey, what about you?
It has to be just soon the city will be mine and Vigo's. Mainly Vigo's.
Okay, good. That was my first one, so I can go for my second
Vigo?
one.
Vigo.
Mine is after they're done wrapping up at Dana's apartment, they look around like, all right, do we have enough here? And Egon goes, well, I'd like to do some gynecological exams on the mother. And Bill Murray just goes, who wouldn't? Oh, misogyny.
Yeah, okay, so my
I
what
mean,
the
that-
fuck quote?
I just don't know what scientific thing he'd get out of that.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's ego. I'm sure it's something.
Is her vagina possessed too?
That's a different movie.
I mean, that would
Okay.
be where Egon goes with
What's
it.
your what the fuck quote
What the
before we
fuck
go to the review
quote?
system?
So they're in the courtroom and they start turning on their proton packs and Venkman says "do," and then Ray says "Ray," and then Egon says "Egon," and then the two guys look at Egon and he just gives the biggest smirk, and it's like, what? Wait, so were they doing like "do, re, mi"?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he said Ray, so I'm gonna say my name, and then the guys are gonna be like, what? That was crazy. And then Egon gives the biggest smirk of like, yeah, I know, I'm super cool.
And honestly, moments like
just
that is
like-
why I found him attractive when I was
I
younger.
I actually like that quote.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that moment.
I love that moment
Why,
too.
Yeah.
as Egon, why would you say me? Just be like
'Cause I-
Egon.
I can guarantee when I was in choir, we made that joke all the fucking time.
Did you? Like,
all
give an
the
example.
fucking because you have to do warm ups every
Do,
morning in
re,
choir.
right,
So
right.
do re mi fa sol
Egon.
la ti do.
Exactly.
And every now and then it would be do re
re,
Egon,
Egon.
and somebody would always do it, and it was always killed. Like,
Like done. Rest of the
Yeah.
day.
All right, so now I'm categorizing your choir class with you in my brain of people who are going to latch on to the weirdest things and defend them passionately.
I like what I like.
I wasn't.
It's a big hill. It's a big hill they're going to all die on.
I say I wasn't in choir, but I did like that part
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it made me laugh.
It's funny.
It's a good moment.
And it's mostly funny
It's a-
because
it's a
of
play
his
on
facial
words.
expression. Because Egon has so much sexy confidence in that moment.
He's like, yeah, I said. My
I know
name.
I'm
He
hot.
does that
Oh, yeah.
smirk a lot in this movie.
Yes,
So
and
I
I
can,
like
That's
it.
actually- that's true.
I can see if you're on the Egon train that this is all going down smooth.
All right, so,
smooth.
review system
As smooth
for
as
review
ooze.
system for today. Review system for today is going to be tone shifting sequels.
Cars 2.
Oh yeah, that works. That totally works. It's about quality level and tonal shift.
Pretty
level.
much, yeah.
That works really well. I'm going. No, I can't go that positive. I was gonna go way too positive.
Dark Knight.
No.
Yeah, all the things I'm
Actually, that one's okay. Fuck. I have two. I'll have to dumb it down a little bit, but I'm going Aliens.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah,
I was
like-
thinking
Yeah,
that too,
it's
and that's too
That's
high.
not still way too high.
I
it's
like
a-
this movie, but not that much.
I'm going more so because it's such a dramatic shift in tone, where it's like this is a horror comedy, and then when the same thing with like, this is comedy, and then Aliens with this is a horror, this is action horror. And it was such a big shift, but it still kind of worked. The characters were still there, but they didn't really feel the same, and that's kind of this one here. Although the Ghostbusters were all still pretty samey, but there's a little bit different. It's not my best one, but I'm sticking to it.
I can do Smokey and the Bandit 2 again because this is probably only the second time it's been brought up on your podcast. The first being when I mentioned it earlier.
Most definitely.
So I might as well just like get the most out of it.
Yeah.
It's just the sequel where the first movie was so fun and you can just put it on anytime you order a pizza and take your pants off and just have
Very odd requirements to watch Smokey and the Bandit.
yeah, and Ghostbusters. But, just like ideal movie viewing conditions. Just a fun time. You just want to have a blast. And then you watch the sequel and it just bogs down in all this drama that you have to wade through just to get to like half the heights of the previous film.
That works.
It's another movie that I still defend as, yes, it's not as good as the first one, completely different, but it is so much fun that you cannot deny it, and if you do, I'm annoyed at you, and you just don't want to admit that you enjoyed it.
Wow, it's getting real dark.
Chronicles of Riddick.
Oh, yeah. Totally different than Pitch Black.
Chronicles of Riddick is such a fun, dumb movie. Yes, Pitch Black was super serious, guys, super serial, and was a fantastic film, and it was just a brand new horror film that we hadn't gotten in a long time, and it stands out on its own. And Chronicles of Riddick just went, you know what? We're going to make this flashy. We're going to make this glitter. We're going to put Carl Urban in it, and that makes everything better.
I'll go with Look Who's Talking Now, because the dogs can talk.
Wow, how did you come up with that?
It's really a gift from God.
Podcasting magic. Okay, so that will bring Ghostbusters 2 and 2017 to a close.
We made it.
Bye, 2017.
You won't be missed.
Shitty year goes out on a
You
shitty
took
note.
Tom Petty away from me.
Yep.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, this was the best New Year's movie I could come up with, and all we did was shit on it for an hour.
Hey, I didn't shit on it.
You know, the good thing is I didn't make us all watch New Year's Evil, which was really close to happening.
Oh, that movie's better than this one.
No.
He's evil.
Hey, you like that ham up, but you don't like a child?
Yes.
Child.
A child!
So if I'm doing my math right, which I'm usually not, but I believe next week we are off because I just don't have that much time to record and celebrate all of the holidays and travel and do everything. So I think we might miss a week, but we might not.
Excuses.
I'm trying my best. We'll see. I have to look at the calendar again, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
There is a chance that you won't have a new episode next week is all I'm saying. But either next week or the week after that, we have... I filled it out last night, or at least I tried to. I believe, if it's not on this thing, our first episode in the new year is Mother! Exclamation point. And that one will be that'll be a fun one to talk about.
It'll be divisive.
It will be very divisive. And then our battle, which I don't know when it's coming in January, but because January is renowned for having terrible movies, our battle for the month of January will be worst movies ever. Horrible fucking movies.
So we're trying to see who wins at being the worst.
Yes, who has the worst at the table?
The one who gets Chewie to actually throw something at her TV screen.
Yep, like we want like offensively, like what the fuck is this movie?
I already know which one.
So
I'm gonna
everybody's
choose.
coming in with DC movies, huh?
You can't help yourself.
Wow. There's another drinking game involved in this.
Well,
Elliot is really stretching our friendship.
if he was more like malicious about it, I'd actually have a problem. But he says it all with this like utter glee and then laughs at his own joke. It softens the blow to my heart. Okay, so thank you, Elliot, for coming on 2 weeks in a row. Thanks, Joey, for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
And thank you all for past year podcasting. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.